right, it is 12:01, so I'd like to start because there's so much to go over. Absolutely. Please let me know where you guys are all from. I love doing this webinar. I've done it now 3 times. I do it once a year. Screenplays and scheduling. It is a big hit because it goes over, how to, I'm going to show you exactly what it goes over, but it bridges the gap between when you're writing the screenplay and how to write the screenplay and how to get it in scheduling. Hi, New York City. I used to live in New York. Um, so Netherlands. I was in Holland back in, gosh, in the 80s, a long time ago. Okay, excellent. I love it. I love it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions while I'm doing the webinar, please feel free to chat them right in. It'd be nice if the questions are related to what it is that I'm talking about, just to keep the flow going. If it's a completely different question, please hold off because we will have a Q&A at the end and you can ask me anything about screenplays, about scheduling, about budgeting, even though I don't go over budgeting in this webinar. Of course, Gorilla budgeting is a major part of Gorilla, but I will answer questions if there are any budgeting questions, okay? Okay, so welcome to the Screenplays and Scheduling webinar for 2025. This webinar is being recorded and it will be available to rewatch on our website. So even though I'm going to go very, very fast because there's a lot of things that I want to cover, don't worry about it. You can always go back and rewatch it. Now, if you have questions, please chat them in. This is a great opportunity. This is why the live webinars are so cool and so important, because you can ask a question, right, as I'm going through it. So what are we going to go over today? Now, there's going to be some basic stuff. Now, I know a lot of you guys, of course, are screenwriters. So there will be a few things in the beginning that you're gonna be like, yeah, I know that. But trust me, there's gonna be a lot of things that you don't know, or at least not familiar with when it comes to formatting a screenplay properly for scheduling. And I want to make that very clear. When you format a screenplay for scheduling, it's going to be a little bit different than formatting a screenplay for, agents and producers and submissions, okay? So I'm going to go over some of that stuff. So we're going to go over formatting a screenplay properly for scheduling. We're going to show you how to import the screenplay into Gorilla, into scheduling. We're going to show you how to fix import errors. And there are a lot of common import errors that people do. And we're going to go over some of those. Writing in a different language. If you're writing in Spanish or in French or in German, I'm going to show you some of the things that we have in Gorilla that's going to assist you with that, okay? We're going to go over tagging the screenplay, right? And you can tag the screenplay in the screenplay program if you're using Final Draft or Movie Magic Screenwriter. And I'm going to go over both of those. And of course, tagging the screenplay in Gorilla. Syncing. What happens, of course, if you have changes after you import the script? We're going to go over that, okay? We're going to go over breaking down the script, and that is going through each scene and adding elements like props and costumes and whatnot. We're bridging the gap now between screenplays and scheduling. So we're going to go over creating shoot days, how to add crew to your schedule and actors, cast those actors into cast members. And then we're going to go over scheduling scenes on the board and some of the call sheet reports and other reports we're going to go over. So it is basically sort of an introduction to scheduling, but we're not going to go deep into the scheduling, but we're going to go enough into it so that you can get started if you are interested, of course, in scheduling your screenplay. Okay. And of course, we're going to do a Q&A. Oh, and please stick around if you are interested in getting a copy of Final Draft or Movie Magic Screenwriter, because we are giving away 2 copies of Final Draft from our friends at Final Draft and 2 copies of Movie Magic Screenwriter from our friends at the Wright Brothers. We work with both of these companies extensively, and they have been nice enough to sponsor this webinar now for 3 years in a row. And we're going to give away 2 copies of each. So please stick around if you want a copy, if you don't have one. And I'm going to show you how to get into that raffle. Okay. So once again, and I'm going to encourage questions because I go very fast. Okay. So please, please, please feel free to ask any questions that you'd like. Okay. So again, like I said, some of this stuff is going to be a little bit basic, but I'm going to go very quickly into the advanced stuff. So bear with me with some of the basic stuff if you already know it. All right. But it is important to go over. So in terms of the screenwriting program, now there are, of course, many screenwriting programs. Now we are mostly attuned with Final Draft and Movie Magic Screenwriter, but there are other programs, and we can go over those if interested. Now, the Final Draft program saves and imports into the FDX format, okay? FDX. It also does the SCX, and I'm going to explain the difference between the FDX and the SCX, and they are different and they are important to know the difference, okay? Movie Magic Screenwriter only does the SCX file. Fade In and Writer Duet, which are other programs that we do support, imports the FDX, which is similar to the Final Draft file format, right? Now, we can import a PDF screenplay. This is brand new in Gorilla 9. We've added the possibility to import a PDF. Now, of course, if you don't have, if you're the filmmaker or producer and someone sends you a screenplay, the writer sends you the screenplay, even if they send it to you in Final Draft, if you don't have Final Draft or if you don't have the screenplay program, they can send a PDF, and you can import the PDF if you want to. Okay, and we're going to show you that. And then the lowest, I'm not going to say the lowest, but the least used is the fountain format. It's an old format that supposedly Celtics imports to. It's not the greatest in terms of what it can do and the functionality of it, but I'm not going to go over that in this webinar, but we can do that. Okay. Okay. Now, in terms of action, dialogue, and etc., just in general, and of course, I hope you all know this if you're writers or if you're working on a screenplay, there's the scene heading, which we're going to go over, which is the set, interior house, day, for example, the action, the character, the parenthetical, the dialogue, and the transition or cut to. Now, there are other areas of the screenplay, and I'll go over one or two of those also, but these are the basic sort of headings. When you create a line of a screenplay, it has to be one of these lines, okay? And that's because it has to come into the screenplay formatted properly. So for example, the scene heading. And again, this is basic stuff, but bear with me. So example, interior house day. Look how it's formatted. I know you probably know this. INT period house, which is the name of the set, and then dash day. Now that is the correct formatting. Okay, so there are three sections to the scene heading, which is important. There's the interior or exterior, there's the set, and then there's the time of day. Now, it's important to understand that the scene heading must begin with an INT period or an EXT period. It has to. Otherwise, the scheduling program like Gorilla is not going to recognize it because it has to be interior or exterior. Now, here's some examples of proper formatting for scheduling, okay? So you can see that you've got interior house day, exterior house night, morning, sunset, dusk, etc. They all have a period after the INT or EXT, and they all have a dash that separates the set. Okay, we were in formatting a screenplay, so this is the right way to format. Here's some ways of improper formatting, okay? And this is important to know because we get screenplays a lot. Yes, perfect, thank you. We get screenplays a lot when people send them in and they can't import them to Gorilla properly. And I get this a lot. Exterior, we got a couple dashes here, and then the set, and then a couple dashes and day. That's the improper way. Now, of course, people could still read it, of course, but it's not properly formatted to import into the scheduling program. Same thing with after the period after the set, okay? That's improper. Continued. Look at people do continued and later or moments later. They do this all the time. The problem with that is that in the schedule, you don't know what time of day continued is. You don't know what time of day later is. You don't know what time of day moments later is. So the proper way, if you do want to do moments later, which is totally fine, is to do interior apartment night. So you notice we now know this is a night scene. And then in the description, you could write, or in the action, you could write moments later, comma, et cetera, et cetera. Bill walks into the room. And this is the right way to do it, because then this will come in properly as night. If you do moments later here, when you import into the scheduling program, it's just going to say day. It defaults to day. If there's nothing there that is not day, night, morning, afternoon, and there are maybe 7 or 8 of them that are default, it's going to default to day if it doesn't recognize what it is. And moments later, it is not a time of day. So in parentheticals, the proper way to use them is, of course, underneath the character. Now, you might say to yourself, of course, I know that. But we get this a lot. Stanley Kowalski, and then you get the parenthetical right here after the character name. Now, the problem with that is that when the screenplay is imported into the program, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a character called Stanley Kowalski. You're going to have another character called Stanley Kowalski loudly, because it's in the character field, right? And of course, if we go into Final Draft and we go down here to the to any one of the, see here we go, Barney into phone, as you can see, there's the parenthetical, that's correct. But if I put Barney into phone right after the Barney, it's going to come in as a character, and it's going to be 2 characters. That happens all the time. Okay, so that's one of the things that you need to be aware of. And same with down here, Stella, if you're crying and screaming or whatever you do in a parenthetical, it's always going to come in as a character. And then you can clean that up in Gorilla. There are ways to clean it up, but it's a pain in the butt. And you really want to fix a lot of these errors in Final Draft or in the screenwriting program before you bring them into Gorilla, okay? Oh, these are okay. So for example, if you do, the character name and then VO, V period O for voiceover, or OS for off screen, that totally works, right? And here, just as an aside, I see this a lot too. People will just type a whole action line in the parenthetical, and kneels and puts his hand on his face. Parentheticals are really just for slight direction, okay? Not for, a whole description of what's supposed to happen in the scene, okay? So please bear that in mind with parentheticals. So scene numbering is also very important. When you're writing a screenplay, the scene numbers by default, if I do a brand new screenplay right now and do interior, exterior, etc., that is not going to be numbered. The scenes aren't going to be numbered. So you want to make sure before, you could do it, even while you're writing the screenplay, that's totally fine. But you want to be able to number your scenes. And to do that in Final Draft, you just go to Production, Scene Numbers, click OK, and it'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can very clearly see the scene numbers on the left and on the right-hand side of the script, because the scene number is an identifier for that scene when you bring it into the scheduling program. And of course, you can then very quickly see what's scene 8, what's scene 9, what's scene 10. You could go back and to the screenplay and find it. Okay, so that's very, very important too. Make sure you number your scenes before, because it doesn't do it automatically. You have to tell Final Draft or Movie Magic Screenwriter to number the scenes. Now, most people don't lock a script. Again, you don't have to. But the nice thing about locking a script is that when you import the screenplay into Gorilla, and then you go back to the screenplay and add a scene, it will automatically number that scene, 6A, for example, or 6B, and it'll give it usually a letter after the scene number, indicating that it is an added scene after the script was locked. So that's important also for clarification. So make sure that you do that. Now, Format Assistant is really a great tool. We have Format Assistant in Gorilla, but you really want to run Format Assistant in Final Draft before. Movie Magic Screenwriter also has a similar program that looks for errors, finds them, and it either fixes them automatically or it asks you to fix them. And for example, if I wanted to run Final Draft Assistant on this screenplay before I imported it, you would go under the Tools pull-down menu, select Format Assistant, and it'll go through and it will find an error. Now check it out. Here's one right here. I did this, by the way, if you can tell, if you look at the title of this screenplay, it says Hotel Cucaracha with errors. So I created the screenplay specifically with a few errors so that you can see that there, so we can find them, right? So here's a perfect error, right? In here you have Barney speaking and then Barney speaking again, but there's nothing between. Like if there was some action right here or another character speaking, then it would be fine. But according to Final Draft, and also when you import it into Gorilla, characters should not speak twice in a row. If you could read that, it's a little small to read, without a different element separating the dialogues, right? This is an error. So we need to fix it. That says must be fixed manually. So Final Draft cannot fix it for you. So what you would have to do is delete this part right here and then just, backspace it up so that this whole dialogue is part of the same dialogue and there's no paragraph breaks, okay? So that's also very important. So run Format Assistant. I guarantee you're gonna find issues. It's just natural because, and again, it's not a spelling thing. Spelling of course is separate. It's a format assistant, and it's going to find things like that, or blank characters, or blank lines. These things will cause issues when you import. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, slug line tagged as action and vice versa. This is really quite big. So I don't think I have one here as an example, but see, this is a slug line right here. But if I were to go here and change this to action, what's going to happen is this particular line is not going to be a scene heading. So you want to make sure that these are all, there we go, the right way. And then notice the scene number is not there anymore, so I'd have to go in there, edit the scene number, put it back in. Oops, I'm sorry, I don't think I had hit enter there. And edit scene number for this one. You don't have to. I'm just doing this just to, there we go, just to make it look nice, okay? All right, let's go on to, parenthetical tagged as dialogue. That's another one that we see a lot too. And I think I had seen one up here, parenthetical into phone right here. A lot of times, this is a look up here, you see it says parenthetical right there, right? A lot of times this will be tagged as a dialogue, and that's going to be a problem also. All right. Okay. Oh, here's the double dialogue example. I have it right there. So I have it in the slide just to show you exactly what the issue is. Okay. So make sure that you don't do that. Or again, Format Assistant will find that. Okay. We talked about locking the script. And again, once you lock the script is published, so to speak, and handed out to department heads and talent in prep for production. And sometimes when you're in production, sometimes revised pages will be colored. And they'll be separate. So another thing, I won't do this now because it's not a big deal, but if I were to lock the script and right here add a scene between 5 and 6, what it would do is it would create a new page for scene 5A, and it would keep the page numbers proper for all the other scenes, right? So it would pretty much insert a page in there. Okay, we go to the next one. Okay, let's actually import. I'm going to show you the importing of the screenplay right now. So once you've done your Format Assistant, your screenplay is all ready to go, you're ready to import it. And I'm going to go over importing the FDX and the SCX and then a PDF, okay? By the way, is there anybody in the chat in here, and please chat in if you can, what screenplay program you use? If it's Final Draft, you can put FD. If it's Screenwriter, you can put SW. Or if it's PDF, go ahead and put PDF. Just that'll help me a bit so that I can just lean the webinar towards that. Fade in. Okay, perfect. There's a fade in. A lot of Final Drafts. That would make sense. Writer Duet. Okay, perfect. Celtics. Okay. Celtics is probably the best to do that is to Final Draft when I buy it. Hopefully, maybe you'll win it. I'll go over, I'm not going to go over Celtics, but I will go over the PDF, which is, you could save it as a PDF, okay, and import it. Final Draft. Okay. Anybody here with Movie Magic Screenwriter at all? Because PDF, Final Draft. Okay. So it looks like most Final Draft in PDF. Writer Duet. So Writer Duet and Fade In. I think I saw Fade In also, right? Also saves in the FDX file format, which is the final draft format. So it's the same thing. Okay, it's just slightly, they have a little bit of anomalies in those save formats, but it's pretty much the same. So if I go down here to the plus sign on the very bottom, notice the import screenplay button. And if I click on it, there are options of final draft, write or do it, and fade in. You see those are all right there because it's part of the FDX file format. And then the SEX format. Now, even though Movie Manager Screenwriter does the SEX, so does the final draft file. And that is actually important because sometimes if you have issues importing from the FDX file, we recommend doing the SEX. It's an easier, simpler format. You don't get as much information, but you won't have issues. And then the PDF. This is brand new. We added PDF. Okay. So I already imported the Hotel Cucaracha with errors right here. So I'm going to click on it. This was imported from that screenplay that we were just looking at. Oh, MM. Perfect. So I will go over MM. Okay. So let's just take a look at this real quick. We're now in Gorilla, okay? And you could see that the screenplay came in really pretty nicely. We've got on the right-hand side our scene navigator. So if you click on a scene here on the right-hand side, it's going to change to that particular scene number. You have up here the INT field, remember that? The interior, the set field, and the day-night field. These, by the way, are the day-night acceptable formats, okay? So that you don't see moments later in here, and you don't see continued in here, and you don't see later that day in here, right? But you will see all of these, okay? And if I were to change one to evening, for example, notice up here, the color of the banner changes. So that's why it's important to have color. These colors are for industry standards because you can very quickly see on here the brown is evening, the yellow is a day, I believe, right? Day. Well, also exterior day, okay? Then there's the white is interior day. Okay, so check this out, interior day, right? The blue is night because, we have a sort of a blue filter sometimes, right? So it's very important that the color, the day-night field and the INT field, those are the two fields that dictate the color, okay? But let's continue down here. So let me go back to the screenplay real quick and go to scene 1, just to take a look at of what it is that we're looking at, right? So exterior Beverly Hills, California day. We glide over, and there's no dialogue here. Notice that the scene 1 is just, sort of an establishing shot, right? We don't have any dialogue here. So let's just go into here and see what it is. So here, this is another really great thing about Gorilla. The screenplay comes in. Movie Magic Scheduling, even their brand new version, they do not import the screenplay. So we import the screenplay right into Gorilla if you're using the FDX import. Okay, and you could see that some of these lines or some of these phrases are color-coded. This is because we tag them in Final Draft. Okay, now you don't have to do this. You could tag all in Gorilla, but if I go here now notice that you don't see the color coding here, but if I were to change this to tags mode, I'm going to go into production and select tags mode. Notice that we now have, a whole bunch of color that comes up on the screen. And each one of these words is color-coded to a category. And we can go through now and highlight a word and tag it to a particular category, like sound or props or set dressing or wardrobe. And if you were to do that in Final Draft, when you import that into Gorilla, all those tags will come in and you'll see them color-coded over here. You'll also see them already, it parses it out into a list, okay? So you can very clearly see what's tagged here. Now, you can go ahead also, and of course, Gorilla, you can start tagging right in Gorilla. Let me go back to my PowerPoint to see, because I'm kind of going all over the place, if I missed anything. All right, the interior, exterior. I'm going to go over the languages in a minute and tagging. Perfect. I'm going to try to get back on track. When I go too far away, I got to go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even do that or whatever, right? So, so basically, what you can do now is tag right in Gorilla, and there's many ways to tag in Gorilla. One of the ways is to select right, and this is not new, but I think we introduced it in Gorilla 7, is the ability to highlight a line or a phrase right in the screenplay display, and then select a category. So for example, let's say I want to try to find something lawns. Okay, manicured. I don't know if I'm a manicured lawns. Let me try for something better than that. Let's see. Okay, hotel. Let's just say hotel, right? And if I highlight that and then say this is going to be, set dressing, right? And tag it, you can see now that hotel is tagged in green, and green is the set dressing. It's a little light. You can change the color if you want. I'm seeing this is a little bit too light for my eyes, but you can see that hotel and broken neon sign are tagged in the list for this particular scene, right? Another way to tag is you can go to the category on the left and add a prop or set dressing or costume. So let's say we want to add some wardrobe to this particular scene. If you see what you want in the list, like if I wanted to add poison tank, or there's not that many to choose from here, these were brought in from the screenplay. But let's say I want to add something new, and this is wardrobe. So let's say I want to add scarf and click OK. And you can see scarf came in. Now, notice that, of course, since scarf was not in the display, it's not going to be highlighted. And that's very, very common. If you go to a scene, in any scene, you have certain things that are in the description or in the action of the screenplay that you need to have for that particular scene, but there's many things that you need that are not in the action of the scene. And that's when you need to start tagging separately from the screenplay. So here, for example, we have scarf. We could add, we can go on, there's no animals. Let's just add, a dog, for example. Obviously, maybe there's a dog. There's a perfect example, right? Let's say that we want a dog crossing the street, but it's not in the screenplay. The writer didn't write that, but let's say someone in the AD, the producer, the director said, I want a dog in this scene, literally just running across the street. It's not in the screenplay, but you have to put it on the scene, right? In the scene. So you could add it right here. And that's the way to do it. You would select a category on the left and add that element this way, okay? And now you can use dog in any other scene. So let's say I want to go to scene 6, for example, and I want to add, I'm sorry, that was not that was an animal. And add dog, since it's already in the list, boom, dog is added, okay? So you can see how easy it is to go through scene by scene and start tagging things. Now, I'm going to go into, someone mentioned Screenwriter, that they use Screenwriter. Now, I'm going to explain the difference between the FDX file, which is the final draft format, and the S. S as in, well, I say SAM, but it's S. It stands for Screenplay, of course, export. I think Screenplay export, SCX, right? So let's go into Movie Magic Screenwriter. Now, it's a different program without a doubt, and to each his own, what program you want to use. The way that Screenwriter tags is a bit different. You have the tag button down here, and you can see that once I click that button, a abbreviation appears on some of the words in brackets, right? So here, SN, which is sound, it stands for sound over of crickets, and that's tagged. So it's not colored per se, but it will come in to Gorilla as a sound, okay? Same with PR for wine and SD for set dressing for bench. So you would just highlight a word like cabinet. You could do cabinet here. And then, okay, that's how, I do remember that. In Screenwriter, you cannot tag in dialogue. In Final Draft, you can. I believe you can. Let me see. That's interesting. I don't think you can tag. I think you can do it here. Let's see. Let me go to some dialogue here, which makes sense, to be honest with you. Andres. Okay, let's see. Andres, I go to in tag. There we go. So you can't tag. Okay, that's actually a little anomaly. Just so if you want to know the difference there. In my Movie Magic Screenwriter, it does not allow you to tag something in the dialogue, but Final Draft does. Okay. In any case, in Gorilla, you can add, a tag to anything. You just might not necessarily see it in the screenplay display. Okay. So any questions so far about tagging? I think I'm going to move over to let's see, let me go back to my PowerPoint, right? And moving my screenwriter, perfect. PDF. I think I'm going to do the PDF next. Any questions about tagging so far? Okay, so like I said, the best way to import a screenplay is usually the FDX format or the SCX format. Now, with the SCX format, let me do one more thing about that. The screenplay display right here is not part of the SCX format. So when you import a screenplay from the SEX format, you won't get this here. I might as well just click the X here. You will still get the scenes, you will get the page count, you will get the day-night field, all that's the scene number. You will get the tags, okay? You will get the cast members that come in. You will get the props if you've tagged them in Movie Magic Screenwriter. The only thing you won't get, it's because it's just not part of that export, is the screenplay display. Now, you don't have to have it when you do scheduling. It's nice. It certainly is nice. It gives you a good reference. It gives you a way to, when you're going through it, to go through it and say, okay, oh yeah, I need to tag that, or I need to tag that item, or what have you. But that's one of the other differences between the SEX format and the FDX format when it comes to importing a screenplay. Now, I'm going to go over PDF real quick. And please, please, please give me questions, okay? Because I keep on going and I don't stop. So let me open up a PDF screenplay. This is just a very quick screenplay, nothing special, but it was written, in Final Draft, but it doesn't really matter what it was written in because it was saved as a PDF. Now, let me go back to the PowerPoint real quick and show you the difference. Now, when you import a PDF script, now the only reason to import a PDF script, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason is you just don't have access to the FDX file, Final Draft file format, or the SEX file, but you do have, the PDF file, which is, happens all the time. Now, brand new, we can import a PDF script. Now, those are the pros. You don't need the screenplay program. Some of the cons, because it is a PDF script, things aren't formatted. They're not tagged the way they are in the Final Draft screenplay or the screenwriter's screenplay. Okay, so some cleanup might be required. All right, the page count was estimated, and tagging is only in Gorilla because you can't tag a PDF script, right? So here's an example. It's just 5 scenes, very simple, right? So let me show you how this works. So we already have this in this folder here. So let me see if I can go in to Gorilla. Let me see if I can go in here and do an import real quick. I'm going to select the PDF option here, right? And it gives you a little message that says try to do the FDX if you can. And let's see if I can bring this over here. Here we go. Just drag it in. You're going to see the first page of it only, right? And let's click on the import button. And it's going to give you that it's been imported, but there's some cleanup that is required, right? So, but if you just take a quick look at it, you can see, oh, okay, that looks, pretty good. So you can go through, and on the right-hand side, you might see a message to at least take a look at. This is fine. It says this is tagged as action, but it could be dialogue, but it happens to be action, so I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to click on cleanup. Here we go. And I'm going to import this. These are all characters. I'm going to import them in. I'll just call it PDF sample. Okay. And we're going to bring this one in. This is like 5 scenes or something like that. Here we go. And there we go. Oh, it gives you a message. Do you want us to auto calculate the page count? And I'm going to say yes. And it basically does an estimation of the page count. Why it does that, see 5/8 of a page, because the page count really comes in from Final Draft or Movie Magic Screenwriter. The screenwriting program estimates the page count, and we just import that in. So the PDF obviously cannot calculate the page count. So we do an estimation. So here we go. Here it is. It comes in pretty nicely. And you can go through, and let's say you want to add a prop or you want to add whatever, you can go through now and break it down. And this is a brand new feature now we've added in Gorilla 9. So you can do a PDF. All right. I think I'm ready to go to checking some errors. that came in. Any questions so far about anything with tagging or final draft or movie manager, screen manager? Because we're kind of moving away from the screenplay now and going into more of the scheduling part. So please let me know if you have any questions there. So here's a good, I get this all the time. And that is either a misspelling, if you go in the screenplay, either a misspelling of a character name or a character name that should be the same name, but it's different. Okay. And again, similar to when I showed you Stella and Loudly, remember that with the parenthetical, it's going to come in as two different characters and you don't want that to happen. So for example, in scene 6, let me go back to the errors sample. Let me go to scene 6. So I did this on purpose. Okay. This is by creating in scene 6, I created a character called Janitor. Okay, you can see Janitor has some dialogue. I'll be right there. The thing is, there is no character Janitor. The Janitor is Barney. So if I'm going to go in here to cast members, you see Barney. It should be Barney. Barney is the Janitor, but the screenwriter, in his or her hurriedness, did not type in Barney. They just typed in Janitor. But notice what happened, of course. Barney came in as the main character, and so did the Janitor. The problem is, this is not a character. So we kind of have to fix that. So in order to do that, we're going to go into elements. There's a great feature here that we have. Here's Janitor. See that right there? Let me filter this so you can see just the cast members, right? So here are all the cast members. Now, I could delete it. The only problem is if I delete Janitor right here, and I'm not going to do that, it's going to delete it from this scene, but Barney's supposed to be in that scene. So we're kind of in a catch-22 here, right? It's not going to be to our benefit to delete the character. What we can do, however, is we can go into Barney and we could do what's called combine. Let me see, I think we can do it in info. There's a combine option. Let me see if I can find it. It's either here or it's in the list. I think it's in the list. I think it's right here. There we go. Combine option right there. And what this allows you to do, we have a video on it, as you can see, is I'm going to say, let's take the name Barney and merge it with the Janitor. And you can see that it's giving you a little message here that it's going to take the name Barney and merge it with the Janitor. Notice that Janitor is gone in the list now. And if we go to the scene, it's Barney. Check it out. So now Janitor is not there. Now, it's still in the screenplay display because that didn't change. If I go back to final draft and go to scene 6, right? I think it was scene 6. Let's see. There we go. That's still there, right? It doesn't change that. However, and I think this goes into the next feature here. It doesn't, but I'm gonna skip, okay? I'm gonna skip because it makes sense. We have an option now to edit the screenplay display. Okay, so it is possible to go in here, click the edit button, click on Janitor, and change it to Barney. Now, you don't have to do this. This is not going to really affect your schedule. It certainly is nice for cleanup, right? And you can go through and edit anything in here. You can add a line in here. I'm going to go through this a little bit more when I show you about the shots, right? Hopefully we'll have time to do that. But you can go through now and edit part of the screenplay. You can literally go through and say his lips twitch uncontrollably. If you want to put ... and he da-da-da-da. You could do whatever you want. You could add a new line here. Now, of course, it's not going to affect the screenplay file. The screenplay file is not going to change. But you can go through, and this is a nice feature because a lot of times there's misspellings in here, and you've done all the scheduling, you've done all the props and all the elements, and you've even done your shoot days, and then you realize, oh man, there's misspellings here, and you're just a perfectionist. Again, you don't have to fix this, but you want to because it's going to drive you nuts if you don't fix it. So you can edit the screenplay, punctuation, spelling, what have you. Okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, it is a pretty cool feature. We added that. I don't remember. I think maybe it was version 8. I don't remember. But I'm going to go back to that and show you some more things that you can do there. Okay. category added makeup and wardrobe. Okay, this is another thing. I don't see this too often, but I see it often enough. And actually, let me go through. You see all these untitles. I'm going to just get rid of those real quick. Let me see by hiding them. You could hide categories. You see, I'm showing you a feature that, there we go. I'm just hiding them right there. That's all. So they're not there. So here's a good example. In Final Draft, I think Screenwriter, you could do this also. You can add categories and you could, add a CGI category or what have you. And that's going to import also into Gorilla. So in this particular instance, there's a category that the writer created called makeup and wardrobe. Now, the problem with that is that there's also a category called wardrobe. And if I click on wardrobe, you can see here are the items for wardrobe. And if I click on makeup and wardrobe, you're going to see, again, it's from that janitor scene, right? That had that issue, janitor uniform. So, I mean, you could keep it. You don't have to fix it. But to be honest with you, it's kind of confusing to have a wardrobe category and a makeup and wardrobe category. So let's fix that. So this is a really cool feature also in cleaning up your issues. So I'm going to go in and do combine categories. Same thing like with the combine elements. I'm going to select makeup as the I'm sorry, not makeup, wardrobe, because we have makeup. See, this is right. I got to be a little careful here. Wardrobe is the one I want to keep. Makeup is the one I want to combine. So we're going to do the same thing here, where we're going to combine them. And notice that janitor uniform is now part of wardrobe. So if I filter and show wardrobe right there, there's janitor uniform. Okay, so that's another nice cleanup. Again, a lot of this stuff is just cleaning up issues that were in the screenplay that you don't want to go back into the screenplay and fix. Of course you can, but okay, writing in a different language. This is actually really cool. And we added this feature, I have to say, I think it took us about 5 years to do this because it's so intensive. But we literally added over a dozen new languages in Gorilla. So let me show you how this works. Now, if you are in wanna write in Spanish, now you can write. Let me preface this, for example. In here, if I click here, you can type in Spanish or in Chinese or Korean or any language you want. That's always sort of been the case. But you can see that all the labels are in English. The tabs are in English. The pull downs are all in English. Everything is in English, right? We now have the ability to set the language for Gorilla to a different language, and we've got a lot to choose from here. So let's say we wanted to do Korean. Why not? We always do this message that basically gives you a disclaimer. We did our best to try to translate everything into that particular language, but as you know, in any niche industry, there is going to be terminology that does not translate exactly into that language, right? So we did the best. Anyway, every time we do that, you will see that. Anyway, so check it out. If anybody here speaks Korean, you can see that all these, aside from IE, because that's and DN, those stay the same. But this is now in Korean, which is cool. The pull downs are in Korean. The reports, if I select here, you can see that these are in Korean. Now, again, you can type, it's in English because the screenplay was imported from an English Final Draft. But if the screenplay, a lot of times people write in Final Draft in a different language. I've had screenplays in Final Draft sent to us to check that were written in Chinese, and we do have Chinese also. Let's see. Thank you. It is cool. The only issue I have is sometimes I get confused by the pull downs because I'm like, what does that say, right? So we got Chinese, right? And again, all this stuff is going to just go right into Chinese, right? And the pull downs and everything like that, right? This, for some reason, we had to keep in English. I don't really know why, but that was weird. Anyway, we did the best we could to try to change it. So let me go back to English. I get confused when I do a language like Chinese or Korean. I'm like, how the hell do I get back? Anyway, let's go back to English. And you can see how many there were, right? I think there's 14 different languages. So that's going to really be cool with the Latino community, with a lot of people in Mexico using this, a lot of Europeans, a lot of German Gorilla users. That would be cool because we have Germany, of course, German language. Anyway, same thing with the day night. If you when I change the language to Korean or Chinese or Spanish, this changes also. Okay. Oh, okay. Thanks so much for telling me that you enjoyed it. I hope this recording works because, but thank you, Patrick. Excellent. Um, anyway, um, so anyway, that's really cool with the languages, right? And again, if you're English speaking, it doesn't do you any good, but it's more of an international feature that we've been requested by us by so many people, especially the Spanish community, right? Okay. Tagging in Gorilla, I already did that, right? Um, Oh, okay. This is a question we get all the time. Is should you tag the screenplay in the screenplay program, or should you tag it in the scheduling program like Gorilla? Now, I'm of the mindset that it's good to start the tagging in the screenplay program only because it gets you kind of familiar with it, and if you need to re-import the screenplay again for whatever reason, you have all those tags still there, right? You're obviously going to do more in Gorilla because Gorilla has a lot more. It's easier to tag in Gorilla. There's more options to tag in Gorilla. You have things like element linking, which I'm going to show you. I think that's probably the next thing. No, it's not, but I'm going to jump and show you element linking in Gorilla, which is really cool. So let's say, for example, I'll go to, I don't remember what scene it is, but I think it's scene 8. Is it? Mm, okay, we'll do scene 8. Let's say, for example, I want Barney in scene 8, okay, in this scene. Now, Barney this is with errors. Let me go back to the one without errors. This is the one without errors. It's the same thing, but without errors, right? And if I click, see, there's more characters here. So if I select the cast members category, you can see all our cast members. And these were all imported from the screenplay. Now, if you look carefully, you're going to see a chain link right next to the name Barney. What that indicates is that there are linked elements to the character Barney. Okay. So for example, let me show you. Let me go into elements here and go into Barney. Let me filter here just to see all the cast members. And here's Barney. Okay. So if I go here to the element info and I click the linked tab, you see that right here? You can see that there's a group created. Now you can create as many groups as you want. Okay. I just created one and called it Barney group. And I added food spatter t-shirt and plunger because Barney's a janitor, which basically means every time that I add Barney to a scene, now I have to do this in Gorilla, right? Not in Final Draft or Movie Maker Screenwriter. But every time I add Barney to a scene, I'm asking Gorilla to also add the food spattered t-shirt and plunger because every time we see Barney, he's going to be wearing those items, right? Holding and or wearing those items. So let me show you how that works. So let me go to a scene that Barney is not in. I think it was scene 8. Yeah, Barney's not here, right? Okay, so let me add Barney. And I'm going to click on Barney, just add Barney to the scene. And notice that when I close this, not only was Barney added to the scene, but so was the plunger and so was the food spattered t-shirt. And this is what element linking is. Now I can link a dozen items to a cast member. I can link different items to props. It doesn't have to be a cast member. So I can literally say, I can create a set dressing item called dinner table and add link, plates and spoons and forks and knives and crystal glasses and wine glasses and whatnot to that primary item. And when I add the dinner table to a scene, all those items will pop in. So you don't have to individually go through and says, perfect. That's a good question. I'm going to show you that. I usually don't get that question, but I'm going to show you. If Barney wears something else in a different scene, well, there's 2 ways to do that. Let me go to another scene. Let me actually delete Barney here. And I'm going to delete the plunger. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this. Okay. And delete it here. Okay. Now, you could do one of 2 things. You can either select Barney, and I think it's the option key. If you hit the option key, and you can't see me do that, notice that nothing comes in aside from Barney, right? So the option key prevents the linked elements from being added. Okay, that's one option. The other option is, let me show you this and delete this. Let me go to elements and create another group. So let's say I go to Barney and linked, and let me create a brand new group, and I'll call this Barney Fancy, okay? And let's say that, let's say wardrobe. Let's see, where's wardrobe? Right here. Let's add we don't have fancy, so let's add a tux. Okay. And right, let's add tuxedo. There we go. And let's go to props and add a top hat. Okay. Not props, I'm sorry. Costumes, right? No, it's also a wardrobe. All right, you could do you know, you don't have to do two wardrobes. I just happen to do two wardrobes, right? So now I've got two groups. I've got Barney Group, which is the janitor. I can rename that to janitor, and then Barney Fancy. So now, let's see if this works. I haven't done this in a long time. I hope this will work. If I click on cast members and Barney, check it out. Now it knows, well, wait a minute. Do you want Fancy or do you want the janitor? I want to say Fancy, and then I'm going to click Barney Fancy, and you've got tuxedo and top hat. So it's really cool that you can create multiple groups for any one of these elements, and then add, those elements, those linked elements will pop in. Okay, good question. I love it. Hope that answers your question. Okay. Changes made to the script. I get this a lot also. Perfect. Thank you. So changes made to the script. We get this all the time, which is totally normal, right? Now, there are many, many ways to handle changes to the script. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to be a little bit parental, okay, or teacher, I don't know what you want to call it, but let me go back into non-tax mode. Look, if you're going to go through the screenplay and add one line or add two lines or, add a scene or what have you, honestly, the best thing to do is just to go and just add that, fix it in Gorilla, okay? You have 120 pages, right? And you just add a one line, right? Or one character or whatever you want to do. Just go to the scene and fix it. So just go to scene 4 and say, okay, we added etc. here, or you wanted to add, excuse me, you can change the page count. Let's say it's no longer one page, it's 1 and 1/8 of a page. You can, if you wanted to change, remember you could change. I told you how to edit the screenplay. You could add that line in here if you wanted to. You don't have to. Okay, if it's a whole new scene, let's say 4A, okay? Now, there's two ways to do new scene. If it's just one scene, what you want to do is this. So let's say I add, okay. So I'm going to go through, I don't want to actually do, because I don't want to take the time to do it, but I'm going to explain it to you, okay? So let's say I add scene 4A. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do new, pretend I copy and paste it. You could do that, right? So I'm going to call this interior new scene day, and and you could do a whole scene, right? And then I'm going to say scene numbers, edit scene number. I'm going to put 4A. Okay, and this is a whole scene. So this is a final draft issue. It really shouldn't be there, should it? No, it should be there. So look at that. Oh, final draft. Why you do that to me? That should be up there. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, sorry. I love final draft, but sometimes, there we go. It really shouldn't be there. It shouldn't allow you to do that. Put a scene number there. Okay, that's my rant. So, okay, so you've got your scene 4A, and it's literally, notice that it's on a completely different file. Okay, so you can copy and paste it. So if you have it here in the screenplay, cut it, or not, don't cut it, copy it, paste it into a new file. So there's nothing else here but scene 4A. And then there's an option here called, this is a really cool option. You're not going to see this in Movie Magic Scheduling. Add screenplay. And what this is going to allow you to do is going to grab that 4A file and pop it into Gorilla. So it's just 4A. It could be 4A, it could be 6A, it could be 7A, it could be whatever. And since it's a different scene number, it will come in probably on the bottom or maybe on the top, but you can sort it properly in any way you want. And then that 4A will be there. Okay. Again, these are just simple fixes. If it's a whole, not a whole big thing that you've done. Now, if you really did go through and just the whole screen, oh my God, it's just completely different. Remember, it's a lot of work to do that. We do have a sync screenplay option. Okay. And what that allows you to do, so let's say I go through not this one, I go here and I've modified everything. Let me save it, hotel with cucaracha with errors to, B or to C or whatever. You can then select this file when you do the sync screenplay option, and you're going to see, and this is something that is actually kind of cool because you're going to see on the left-hand side the old screenplay and on the right-hand side the new screenplay. And you could click one button, or you could go scene by scene, and you could say, yes, update scene 8, update scene 12, update scene 15. Okay, you could specify which scenes you want to update. Now, the most important thing about the sync screenplay option, and this is why locking the script is so damn important, and you don't have to read that, but read it when you do it. The scene number must stay the same. So many times, I'm going to go back into Final Draft, people don't lock the script. They start modifying the script. They start adding scene numbers, and all of a sudden, scene 4 becomes scene 5, or scene 10 becomes scene 12. And then they say, oh, I want to sync my screenplay. It's not going to work because scene 11 must be scene 11. Scene 11A can be new. Okay, does that make sense? So the scene numbers, and that's why locking the script is so important. So we have the sync screenplay option, we have the add screenplay option, and then of course we have the option, like I told you, that you can go in to each scene and modify any scene that you want with the page count or with the day-night field. Let's say something changed from day to morning, you could just go in here and just change it. Done. Okay, you don't have to import the entire screenplay again just to get that. So this is a big issue. Okay, add screenplay, I showed you that one. The summary field. So the summary field, I have mixed feelings about this. I think I have a summary field up here. Here we go. This is a summary. In Final Draft 13, works different than Final Draft 12. In Final Draft 12, you didn't see the summary underneath the slug line or the IE, I'm sorry, the scene heading field. You saw it, I think, in the navigator right over here. But you can, the scene summary will import into Gorilla if it's one line. And I just wanted to mention that real quick. I don't know if I have one here. Let's see. If you click on the summary, there. Okay. So if you see I click on this, so far I've never deviated from this screen. And if that's something that doesn't, of all of Gorilla, and Gorilla is a massive program, aside from this breakdown screen and the elements, I didn't go anywhere else. And I need to really move on to some other things, but I wanted to, the whole point is to show you formatting errors and how to, and this is the point of the webinar. But this summary field right here, this came in from Final Draft, okay? So you can import a summary as long as it's one line. A lot of times people will, in Final Draft, write a whole novel in the summary field, and it's going to be a problem. So don't do that. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Screenplay display options. I showed you that, right? How you have the screenplay display here. You could turn it off or on, or you could edit the screenplay. Screenplay editing. I showed you that. The shots feature. Oh yeah, this is a brand new feature in Gorilla 9, which is kind of cool because Final Draft added, and let me see if I could have a Final Draft. Here we go. Screenplay with shot sample. So this is just a very simple 3-scene sample that I wanted to create with shots. Now, I don't remember when they introduced shots. I think it might have been 12, but maybe it was early. I don't know. I don't think they had it in version 11, but anyway, no, and I color-coded them in brown, if you could see that, okay? But, so for example, aerial shot right here, if I'm highlighting the very first one, notice up here, it is a shot. It's not a action line or a general line or, of course, dialogue or anything like that. It is a shot line, right? And same with close-up of little kid. It's a shot. And same with MS for medium shot, and long shot and wide shot. So these are tagged as shots. And a lot of times in Final Draft, writers will put in shot. They want to direct, and they want to say shot this, shot that. Now, in Gorilla 9, we added the support for importing shots from Final Draft. Okay, so I'm going to keep that available. Let me go back to the manager, and let me go to that. I've already imported that screenplay, only 3 scenes. But if I click on it, and you can see it's just 3 scenes here. But scene 1, check it out, aerial shot, large eagle. Now, if I click the edit button down here and edit the screenplay, and let's say I click on this right here, check it out. This is a sort of a modification of this screen. Let me actually show you another, this one. This is action. Notice action, this is brand new, the shot, is just, edit. There's nothing else there. But if you click on a shot, notice that, boom, this is new, shot type, okay? So shot type allows you to flag a shot type, okay? In this instance, it's very clearly an aerial shot, so I put in aerial shot. If I go to scene 2, close up, go edit, I'm sorry. Here we go, edit. Here we go. Close up is close up, right? So I've tagged each one of the shots as a particular shot type. So why is that cool? Well, first of all, it brings in from Final Draft. That's a cool feature, right? And secondly, if I were to go into the storyboard module here, and I haven't done that, in this webinar, I don't go over that, but there's a storyboard module that we have that you can add shots to scenes. If I click on the storyboard module and import this screenplay, these 3 scenes, into the storyboard module, all those shots will come in, right? So let me see if I can do this. Because usually I don't go through this, but there we go. So here's all the scenes for the shots. And if I edit, I'm trying to edit. I think I just have to click it, right? There we go. Aerial shot. See, that came in because of Final Draft. All of this came in because I tagged it in Final Draft. There we go. Here's close-up, medium shot, long shot. So you can see these came in. Now, these are just sample images. They didn't come in from Final Draft, of course, but you can modify that. So if you want to modify the image and enter your own image, you can do that. But you could basically have a shot list that comes in from Final Draft into scheduling, into the storyboard module. And within minutes, you can print out a shot list. And you can add your own shots to each scene. Okay, that's brand new in Gorilla 9. All right, let's see now. Let's see where we are. Sides. Okay, this allows you to very clearly, again, we're still in the, let me go back to the other schedule. Right here. This is fairly new, this print button, this print screenplay button. What this allows you to do is it allows you to print just that particular scene from the screenplay, right? So if you're on the set and you don't have the PDF or you don't have the screenplay available to you, but you have Gorilla, you can literally say, oh, darn, we need to print sides or we need to print this scene real quick. And it'll just print that particular scene. So that's a new feature that we can do. We can print the screenplay. Linking elements, I already did that. Element manager, I already did all that. Wow. Shoot days. Okay. Any questions so far? I'm going to take a little bit of water here, just to take a quick break. So can I import my own pics? Yes, you can. You can import your own pics into the storyboard module. They could be something that you create in Photoshop or an Illustrator or a JPEG or a PNG or what have you. Okay. Okay. Yes, you absolutely can. What's it going to do? Oh yeah, the shoot days. So we're about to move on to shoot days. So when you're done importing the screenplay and when you're done breaking down the script, you're pretty much ready to set up your calendar. Okay. Now you might not know exactly when you're going to shoot, but you got to put in something to start, and you can obviously modify those days as you get closer to the shoot day. So this button right here will take you into the calendar, and I've already created 10 or 11 shoot days. Are the photos in Final Draft? No, Final Draft doesn't have that ability to put photos in there, so you're going to have to put them into Gorilla. But you can go through each shot And because those are just sample images that we have in there, and do a medium shot or a close up, or you don't have to do that at all if you don't want to. But if you want to very specifically storyboard, then yes, that's something that you need to do. You need to go through, and you can add or import any image that you want for any particular shot. Okay. So anyway, the shoot days. So I've created the 3rd to the 12th, for example, is a short shoot for our particular shoot. And if you click on a particular day, you're going to go into the detail of that day. And it's a very granular thing when you work in Gorilla, because you're working, largely on the whole schedule, and then you got to, zoom in on a particular day and who's available for that day, what's going on for that particular day. You need a call sheet for that day, what scenes are going to be shot for that day. And so now we're in March 3rd of 2025, which is already passed. I need to change this. This is just a sample. And now you can see that all these tabs down here are all part of this day. Okay. So for example, let me click on crew call times. So this is all the crew members that we're going to need for the particular day. And they each have a call time. You can modify their call time if you want. You can enter if you want, if they're going to be OC, which is on call or not on call. The cast call times here, this is brought in from the what actors are needed for that particular day based on the scenes scheduled for that day. And that's on the Stripboard. I'm going to go to the Stripboard in just a minute. So, but basically when you go to each day, and let me go to like 310, for example, and I'm going to go here and you're going to see now this has changed. So now on March 10th, we need these actors and these characters are needed. And you can put a makeup time and a call time for all these particular actors. Okay. Now, the thing is with how do you know that Barney, Amanda, and the janitor assistant is required on March 10th? How do you know that? You know that because that's done on the Stripboard. And the Stripboard is basically a way to specify what scenes are going to be shot on what day. Okay. We've already went through the breakdown sheets of all the scenes, and we already told Gorilla what elements are needed for each scene, props and animals and set dressing and wardrobe and makeup, etc. But we don't know when each scene is going to be shot. And that's where the Stripboard comes in conjunction with the calendar. Okay. So when you go to the board, by default, let me go to, let's see if I can I do a new board? Let me see if I can do a new board. Where's the new button? New button. No, not do breaks. New board. Okay. So let me just do a new board. I'm going to just say new. Okay. And we're going to just do a new board real quick. By default, when you come into the board for the very first time, it's going to look pretty, something like this in terms of all your scenes are going to be on top, similar to kind of what you see here with the navigator, right? And remember, the color coding is so important because the color coding tells you the time of day, right? And then the shoot days are all on the bottom in black, okay? So for example, just very simply, if I wanted to schedule scenes 1, 2, 3, and 4 on day 1, and scenes 5, 6, and 7 on day 2, you pretty much just drag and drop. And of course, it's not going to be this simple. It's going to be a lot more complicated than this, right? And you can see that you can do that. Let me go back to my sample board. I'm not going to save it. You do need to save when you go through, and you can do multiple boards. Like I see now I'm going back to my original board. You can save and have as many boards as you want. So if you want to have one scenario where you have your more complicated scenes first, or you want to have this particular location first, or second, or third, or last, or you only have ability to use this particular actor in the middle of your shoot, you could do multiple different scenarios of your strip board, and each one of these day breaks indicates what scenes are going to be shot on top of it is going to be for that particular day. So this is going to be scenes 1 and 2 on day 1. And the estimated time is going to come in based on the page count or based on the estimated time that has been entered for each particular day. Okay. So that's really cool that kind of comes in. All right. Let me know if there's any questions about the board or shoot days, because I went through that kind of fast. And then there's crew and the stripboard I already did. Okay. So the crew I already kind of went through, but I want to show you how cool it is that you can have a whole crew database in Gorilla. So for example, that this crew I imported. Now you can import your crew from an Excel spreadsheet. So if you want. So if I say import crew from a text file, this will give you sort of a map or a legend of how you should prepare your Excel file. And you could import all these people if you want, and bam, they'll pop in immediately. And the nice thing about that is that you can reuse crew for different projects. You could basically share crew members from one project to another, okay, which is kind of cool. Stripboard I only want, call sheet. Okay, so once you're kind of done with your script, with your schedule, with your shoot days, with your stripboard, you can actually start running some reports. And reports is really, really kind of cool because Gorilla's got so many different reports that you can choose from. How much storage does it have to keep worked on scripts and lists, etc.? Okay, good question. So let me go back here. So I've got, as you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many, 6 or 7 schedules loaded and 2 budgets loaded. Now, what I mean by loaded is that if I just click it, it opens. So you don't have to have these loaded. You can, if I go through and click on this button down over here, these are all the schedules down here that are not necessarily loaded. These are in my documents folder. So you don't really want to have too many loaded. I mean, you can have, you can have as many as you want. The more you have, eventually Gorilla will get a little bit slower, but you can have 10, 20, 30, it doesn't matter. But, then again, it's kind of hard to go through and sort of organize them all while they're in Gorilla, right? The thing is about storage, what really takes up a lot of space, we were talking about storyboards, is images. So for example, here's an example, right? If I click on elements and let's see here, go to wardrobe. I have a few images here. Here's an image there. These are usually not that big. So let me show you this. If I go into here and I want to add an image for this particular element, pilgrim shoes with brass buckles. Okay, so, this is actually a very cool feature. See this button right here is the internet button. If I click that, it's going to do a search for pilgrim shoes. Let me do image. Here we go. Oh, there we go. And I could do copy, right? And paste. So that's really pretty cool. I didn't have to leave Gorilla to go grab an image from the internet, right? Because it grabs this as a search field, and then I clicked images and I copied and pasted. Now this is a web image, so it's very small, probably in terms of size. But if you were to take a picture with your phone, these images, if you're familiar with iPhones and any other devices like that, because the resolution is very, very good. And this is sometimes could be 6 or 7 megs or 10 megs on an image. So if you don't really, there's no reason to import an image that large into Gorilla. You need to scale it down to maybe 50K or 60K or whatever. Use Photoshop or some other art program to save it as a web file, because then you could store as many as you want. But if you have a lot of location images, there's a whole location database that we have also that you can go ahead and enter, these are all images from the web, I think, but this one is not. This one was image taken from, a digital camera or an iPhone or what have you. So it could be 4 or 5 megs. So you want to make sure that that image is not that large. If they're not large images, you're fine in terms of size. And then you could, because all this stuff is really text. So it doesn't really, think about Photoshop or, Final Cut. Those are when you have an image heavy program, it's slow. So just make sure that when you import images, whether it's a storyboard, location, elements, anything, that those images are not really, really large. Okay. Where was I here? Oh, reports. So let's say now that we want to print some reports. There's multiple ways to do that. There's all the way down at the bottom, there's a print button down here. So if I click that button, you can see that these are sample, not sample, but these are some of the most used reports, right? So if I want to do a crew call report, I can just click that, click on the day that I want to do the report for, and it's going to show you very quickly the shoot day, the department, and all the crew and the call times that they're needed for that particular day. So really quickly, you got a really nice PDF that you can print. Thanks, Chuck. I hope the replay is going to work. I really do. Thanks for coming. And I'm going to finish up in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to have the Q&A and the raffle if you guys want the final draft or the screenwriter. So just in a couple of minutes, I want to finish this exactly at 1:30. So if you check out some of the reports here, and the night, oh, here's another thing. If you go here, right, and do, is it this one? Hold on, sample. Now check, oh yeah, this is really nice. You can literally do a sample view of all the reports. So let's say you want to find out what elements in their scenes looks like. You just select it, and this is just a sample view of what this particular report is going to look like. If I want to see what one line is very common industry standard report in scheduling, and this is what this report is going to look like, right? If you want to go through shot list, there's a perfect example. Someone was talking about shots, right? You could do a shot setup, and these are the images for shots. If I want to see let's see what else we've got here. Cast call times, we got that, right? So it's kind of cool because you can go through and say, oh, what kind of report do I need? And then right here, there's an Excel button. And this button allows you to export your data in that report, but to an Excel file. Because then what you can do, and there's a lot that you can export, you can manipulate that data any way you want. Okay, you could create your own report if you want in Excel. So there's lots and lots of really cool ways to export your data or to print your data or to send your data from Gorilla out. Wow, we're in the Q&A. Oh, okay, I did it. I know I answered some questions as we went along, but I'm going to open it up now to any question at all that you have in terms of anything that I covered or anything that I didn't cover. In the meanwhile, I'm waiting for questions to come in. We do have a screenwriting software giveaway. We are going to give away 2 copies of Final Draft and 2 copies of Movie Magic Screenwriter if you're interested. And, if you already have a copy, try to let someone else get it. But I can't tell you not to apply. If you are interested in the raffle, please send an email to raffle@junglesoftware.com. Please include, I'm going to read this out loud, please include a sentence or two if you enjoyed the webinar and what you would like to see or learn about in the future. If you don't mind, it'll help me out a lot. Also, please tell us why you wanted to attend this webinar. Was it for production, or was it for screenplays? What kind of production are you considering in other scheduling and or budgeting software? So can I export shots details in the report? Yeah, absolutely. I believe there's a shot export that you can do. There's quite a few shot reports. You want to go to the storyboard module, and in there, I'll show you that in a minute. You can do that. Let's see here. If you go into the storyboard module, oh, I already have one here. Okay. Let's see if I can find the shot sample one. There we go. Okay. And then down here, there we go. Here's your shot reports, right? So you can print any one of these, any one of these reports. And then, of course, there's shots right there as an export. Okay, so you can do that. You touched on this, but when you lock a script and you end up making edits later, is that new 5A scene in Final Draft or in Gorilla? Well, you can do both. So if you wanted to lock the script and create scene 5A in your script, the best way to, like I said, to import just 5A is to copy 5A into a new file and to use add screenplay option to import just that file, and it'll import just scene 5A. Now you could do the sync screenplay option also with that, but if you have a 120-page screenplay and you're literally just at scene 5A, it's just going to take you longer. Okay, I mean, it's going to take you 10 minutes to do that as opposed to just importing one little scene. Or you can add scene 5A in Gorilla as a brand new scene. So there's 3 ways to do it. Thank you so much. I'd like to watch a recording as well to review some of the new things on Gorilla. Very, very good question. Um, we have a lot of videos on the new features. Do we have to send the email for the raffle? No, 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 no. You could send the email whenever you want. I'm not going to do the raffle for another 24 hours or so. So please send the email. I'm not doing the raffle right now. I'm going to do it like tomorrow. So, you know, just do it today if you can. I want you to take your time with writing if you enjoyed the seminar or not, the webinar, right? But let me continue with the new things about Gorilla. Um, if you go here, and I didn't go through this because there's so much to go through, but if you go to the manager down here to the gear button and select what's new, um, here are all the new features in Gorilla 9. Okay, there's quite a few of them, which is really cool. This production shot list, production checklist, I'm sorry. The languages, I went over that. There's a split screen stripboard breakdown sheet, which is really, really cool. Adding time to banners, importing the PDF screenplay. I went through some of these for sure. And then here's some starter videos. So if you want to see just what's new in version 9, if you're familiar with 8, then these two videos are great. This one is really comprehensive. It's an hour and 7 minutes of all the new features, very detailed in Gorilla 9. It goes over the PDF importing. It goes over the checklist, which is really cool. So this is a cool video too. You can access that. Okay. So that's some of the new features that you can find in 9. Let me put this raffle thing back up. Okay. Yeah. 128. I got 2 minutes to spare. It's not bad. So I'll be happy to answer any more questions if you want. Update on Gorilla really helpful. I feel as if I've been driven down the road with the wind in my hair. With your enthusiasm. Awesome. I like it. That's fantastic. Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, glad it at least turned out okay. You're very welcome. And also, if you have any questions that I have not answered, I'll answer that question in a minute, Diane. Um, please feel free to chat us. Usually our chat is on, it's off right now, but usually it's on most of the day from 10 to 5 kind of a thing. That's a great way to contact us, or email us at support@junglesoftware.com or sales@junglesoftware.com. So Gorilla, we do have a student rate, which is if you have an edu email address, you're eligible for the student rate. It is for schedule. Now I didn't go over budgeting at all, right? I just went over scheduling. So if you're only interested, this is the whole budgeting area right there. If you're only interested in scheduling, the student rate I think it's $109 a year. You can cancel, of course, at the end of the year for scheduling. And I should go to the website. I don't want to say something that, hold on here. And 209 for the combo, I think. Yeah, I think it's 209 for the combo. That's student rate. That's student rate. Eitan, this is all new to me, and I really thank you for sharing Gorilla with us. I know I will be writing in final draft with an eye to Gorilla. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, we really do try to lean a little bit, towards final draft comes out with a decent amount of updates every year, so we got to kind of keep up with that. And they constantly add new features in their program, so we're always modifying Gorilla to accommodate some of those new features. So yeah, that'll be great. All right, excellent. Then thank you very much all for coming. Hope it went well. Thank you very much, David. David, of course. Thank you very much. And download the trial. If you don't have it, you're welcome to download the trial. We have a free demo for 15 days. You can import a Final Draft Screenplay or a Movie Magic Screenwriter screenplay into it and give it a shot. See how it works for you for 15 days. Excellent. Oh, Cedric, of course. Absolutely. Thanks. I'm glad you're here. And thank you very much, Camille. And give it a shot and test it out. It's a whole different world, doing this scheduling stuff, but it's exciting. I gotta say, every single time, thanks. This is my very first look at screenwriting software. Excellent. Every single time I get in there and, whether I'm doing a sample schedule. It's just there's something about it that, about scheduling a film or a video project or what have you, that it gets you excited. I mean, writing the screenplay is exciting, but when you get into scheduling, it's like it becomes reality. And you start thinking of things, okay, how am I going to get this done? And so we've tried very hard to make this program, different. Different. I mean, there are options out there. You've got Movie Magic scheduling, and there are other options there too. But we've tried to make this program different than the other ones. And if you go ahead and try the other ones, that's fine. But we've really, really wanted to do something different with this program, and I think we've succeeded. Thank you, Diane. Excellent. Thanks so much for coming. All right, guys, I'm going to stop the share in just a second here. Getting ready to implement Gorilla for scheduling. Excellent. Excellent. And again, we're always available. Just reach out to us with any question. Thanks a lot, guys.